Alrighty, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Aimpoint versus Eotech. Okay, we're going to go over pros and cons and what I like and what I dislike about each of the platforms. Alrighty, so let's just jump right into it and just go and start talking about these guys. So, okay, first up we got is the Eotech. The main difference, aside from I'd say physically, the actual dimensions of it, is the reticle pattern. Eotech runs on a HUD heads-up display feature. They got the technology from jet fighters and stuff like that, where they can project an image, in our case the reticle, onto a plane of glass or some kind of polymer material that's clear. Because Eotech uses two different systems. It uses a glass system, and then it uses a polymer-based system, which is clear, so it gives it a little bit more durability, because glass, as we all know, can break. You get a really nice Carl Zeiss scope or something, or a Leopold, you drop it on concrete, it's going to break. So, it's that kind of concept. These are supposed to be durable to hell and back optic systems, so you don't want to get breakage, and that's why Eotech opted to use a mixture of glass and then a polymer-based system in there. Okay, so we got the HUD, the heads-up display, and what it does is it actually projects a 65 MOA circle. You can see the circle with the little arrows next to it, and a 1 MOA dot. And what that really does, and lends itself to, is it actually makes, for me at least, fast target acquisitions in close quarters with the 65 MOA. I can just really pick up targets quickly and accurately at very close distances because it's a larger MOA. And if you notice, let's see if I can get closer on this. If you notice, the further you push the Eotech away, the bigger the dot gets. So as I'm pushing that forward, the dot is increasing in size. So that's kind of cool, that you can actually essentially customize the size of your dot. So that's pretty interesting and neat with the feature on the Eotech. But let's see. Sorry, my ADD just kicked in. I just like making things big and small. It's kind of cool. Okay, anyways, I digress. So you've got a 65 MOA circle, and then you have a 1 MOA dot. 65 circle, as I said earlier, gives a really good ability for the shooter to acquire a target quickly. And another feature with the 1 MOA dot is that you can get very accurate shot placement with the Eotech. Aimpoint has a 2 MOA dot, so that's just something to think about. Another interesting feature on the Eotech, let's see if I can find that, is that it's a series of small pixels that make up the image. And the reason Eotech decided to do it that way is just so that you can actually see through the reticle. So the reticle is not actually blocking anything. You can actually literally see through it, through the 65 ring, MOA ring. So that's a cool another feature on this. Another thing you want to notice is it has a dedicated night vision mode on both of these models. So if I hit the night vision button, it's easier to do off camera. Now it's gone. So now I'm in night vision mode, and if I had a pair of PVS 14s or PVS 7s or something like that, I could actually look and the reticle would show up on your night vision, which is cool. All these optics are night vision compatible that are in front of you. Next up is the Eotech, the 553. Main difference between these two models is the battery components. This takes a Type N battery. This one's actually beat to hell. I actually use this one in Iraq, so it's pretty thrashed. In terms of durability, these things, all of these optics are tanks. I have used Not these exact models. Well, not especially that one. I never used that one in the military. I acquired that later. But the other ones are were used in the military, and these things are just freaking rocks. These things are tanks. I've dropped it. I've thrown it. I've gotten into vehicle accidents with it. I got, you know, you name it. This thing's seen it. It's never broken on me, and it's always worked. All of these are just extremely durable. You can go to hell and back with these things, and they'll work. Okay, so next up, the 553 N-type battery. This takes N-type. This takes CR123 batteries, which is the same thing your Surefire takes. Okay, same reticle pattern. Let's see. Yep, same reticle pattern, same night vision. The only difference is that the 553 sits a little bit higher than your standard Eotech, and that's to get a 1/3 co-witness out of your sights. So pretty cool feature. 553, nice optic. Now I'm going to go over a little bit of the things that I don't really like about the Eotech, and it's on these specific models. It's the size. I think they're extremely bulky. The new series of Eotechs, the one that takes a single CR123 battery, I think that's the way to go. I think those things are just phenomenal. They're awesome. They're also coming out with new reticle patterns. You know, these things I fired these up to 500 meters pretty easily on the Eotechs. It's super simple to do. You just have to know your hold patterns when you're shooting, where to hold over, you know, different types of deals. So you can actually, you know, have to put the 1 MOA dot above a target at 400 meters depending, and then it'll hit it, or, you know, below at closer distances, you know, just to get something that's like at 50 meters to get a good hit on it. You just have to know your patterns, holdovers. The cool thing about the new reticles that are coming out with the Eotechs is that they have holds built into them. I think they have up to 3 1 MOA dots that are reference points for your hold patterns. So if you're shooting a 308 at 400 yards, you use 1 dot, and then if you're shooting a 308 at 150 yards, you use another dot, you know, and there's different hold patterns that you can go, and it's all variable on how you actually zero your optics. So that's a cool feature. Another thing, I do like the Eotech, and I do like the holographic sight options. All of these optics are holographic, so no matter, you don't need a proper cheek weld or anything. Wherever this 1 MOA dot is pointing at, it's going to hit. So you can shoot this over your head, you could shoot it over a fence, and whatever you put the dot on, it's going to hit. So that's a true holographic sight, and that is the key feature on these Eotechs and the Aimpoints, and the reason why I believe that they're incredible optics. All right, now let's talk about the Aimpoint. This is the Aimpoint Pro. Cool feature about the Aimpoint Pro is that it actually can be fired with this front cap closed. You use both eyes open. There's the dot. It's just a simple 2 MOA dot. You use both eyes open, and you can actually shoot it closed. Another cool feature about the Aimpoint is that the batteries are they're like mythical beings. They never die. I've gotten practical run times out of this Eotech here for about 6 months. Practical run time, that's everyday use. These I've never had to change out. I've left them on for days and days on end, and they never die. They're like mythical creatures. So they will eventually die, but you know, it's very rare, and the batteries life on these are amazing. Okay, dislikes on the Aimpoint. I think it just takes me a little tiny bit longer to acquire a target with the little tiny 2 MOA dot. Another thing is the size. I think these things are way too big and way too bulky for a red dot. I think they could really slim these things down and get the durability that everybody's asking for, and keep an inexpensive price. And we've really seen that with the the Aimpoint Micro, the T1, and I'm a fan of the T1 as well. I think it's a great optic, and I think that's where they need to be at in terms of optic size. Way too bulky for me. You know, I got a killer deal on this, so that's why I picked it up. But it works, you know. It is what it is. It's a bulky sight that's going to work and forever, you know. I've got experience with the Comp 2s. I've got the M68s. You know, you name it. I was in the military, and I was in a unit where I was lucky enough to pick whatever optic I wanted, and I went with the Eotech with a magnification. This is a primary arms flip to side, and you can actually magnify, this one's 3x, your Eotech or your Aimpoint up to 3x and get more effective distance shots out with it. And I think those two are pretty amazing when you couple them together. So, you know, that's real quick rundown on the optics here. That's really what I wanted to go for today. You know, I hope you guys liked the video. Please like and subscribe.